Welcome to the Natural Way of Being video blog. This video is titled An Open versus a Closed System of Experiencing Life. So when I say system, I'm talking about an energy system when we interact with someone or when we interact with life. Okay, and so the way, if it's open versus closed, it's going to change my experience and my interaction that I have with someone else or with life. So let's start with an open system, an open energy system, we could call it. Okay, so say I'm listening to my friend. I'm having an experience, I'm listening to my friend. And I often describe this as allowing energy in, is the skill that the way I refer to this. And so she is saying something, I'm listening, openly listening, and as I listen, since it's an open system, I'm open to allowing her energy into my being. So as I allow her energy in, I have these things called chakras or energy systems, right? And the way I'm going to talk about chakras for this topic is they're like energy sensors, and they sense energy that flows through them. So when I allow and listen, the energy flows through my third eye chakra or energy center, and I get clear perception. Okay, and I understand who this is that I'm listening to. And then I allow it to drop down into my heart chakra. And then I can feel the energy of the interaction. I can feel her energy as she's sharing. And then I have empathy. If I'm feeling her energy, I'm feeling with, which is what empathy is. I'm feeling the same energy that she is, and so and then I feel connected. And then I allow it to drop down more, say my solar plexus chakra or energy center. And that's where I have this sense of knowing, and I get this kind of call for action of just knowing what to do. And then I get my intuition, you could say. I say, okay, well, I'm going to say this back to her. And then I say something, and then I offer an intention, okay, and she hears it, or I offer an intention to life, and it interacts with life. And then it kind of, eventually she'll say something back, life responds back, and then I'm allowing energy in. So there's this open system of energy exchange that's going back and forth between, my friend and I, and myself and life. Okay? And so that's an open system. So let's contrast that with a closed system. Again, a closed energy system. So I'm still having an interaction. The difference with a closed system is I'm not allowing her energy in. I'm listening to her, okay, but I'm not allowing her energy in. So then what am I doing? I'm listening, okay, and because there's no energy to sense, I'm going to process what she's saying intellectually, in my brain. And then I'm going to think, okay, well, she's saying this, so it makes sense to respond back this way, and then I respond back. So in one sense, we are exchanging energy, but if it's more of an intellectual energy. Okay, my intellect is hearing, and then it responds, but I'm not allowing the energy of her being or her heart in. So I'm just making these decisions intellectually, and I'm responding, back and forth that way. Okay, so then what's going on in my being when this is happening? What's going on with my chakras? Well, the only energy that my chakras have to sense is going to be now my energy. So they're going to be sensing my intellectual energy. Okay, and so then they're going to be feeling what I'm saying. They're going to be feeling what I'm thinking. They're going to be, and they're going to be seeing, and so all of it. And so that's because that's all they have. I'm not letting any energy, and they're really not, and my truth is, they're not really designed to work this way. Their chakras are designed to sense the energy of life or interactions. But all we're giving them is our own energy. So they're sensing this, and that's why we'll make a point if I want to be right, and then it'll feel right to me, right? Because it goes through my heart chakra or it goes through my third eye. It's like, yeah, that feels right. It's like feel the energy of my thought, and it makes sense to me, and so I feel like I'm right. Okay, so in a closed system, how else do we sense energy? Well, even if I'm not having a conversation, I sense the energy of my thoughts sometimes. Okay, so say I'm just thinking, say I have a stressful something experience coming up and I'm worried about it. So I'm like doing my future tripping, and what if this happens, and oh, this would be so terrible, and then I'm like, so then my thoughts are having, and then I'm feeling, my chakras are feeling the energy of my thoughts. Okay, and then I'm like, worst case scenarios, oh my gosh, what about this? I'm feeling, and then I'm having this experience that way. Or it may be a past experience. Say I'm living an unpleasant or a pleasant experience. Again, I'm thinking about it. Let's say it's a pleasant experience. So I had this really amazing time with my friend the other night, and I'm thinking, it's like, oh, that was so great. I just really feel. So then I'm feeling that again, which is fine, but it's not live, right? I'm feeling something that happened in the past. Or if it's a negative experience, it could be a traumatic experience or an embarrassing experience that I'm thinking, and then I'm feeling that. I'm thinking about when this thing happened, and then I'm feeling based on my thoughts. And this is kind of like how PTSD happens. We keep feeling the same experience over and over again. And this starts to, kind of show us the karmic nature of a closed system. Okay, because what happens is we think something, and then we feel our thoughts, okay, and then we have thoughts about our feelings, and then we feel those thoughts, and we have, thoughts about those feelings. And so it's like this, I said closed system or an internal, it just recycles over and over, and we're almost like, I'd say, stewing in our own juices, right? I mean, it's all contrived. It's something that my mind has created. It has very little based on reality. It may have to do the way I remembered reality, or the way my brain told me that reality is, okay? But I'm not directly experiencing it because I didn't allow the energy in. So we're left with this kind of this internal experience about what's going on in life. So as we live our lives, each interaction we get to choose. Am I going to have an open energy system, or am I going to have a closed energy system? And it is a choice. And we might, in some experiences, we might have one, and one we have the other. But it's important that we understand. Now, it's only fair for me to say, when we have an open energy system, it tends to feel more vulnerable. We tend to feel more exposed. We tend to feel things, and we don't know what we're going to feel, right? If we're just allowing energy in, we're not controlling the energy that comes in. So we could feel all kinds of stuff. And that can be scary. It's also much more unknown and much less predictable, because we don't know it's just like it's live, right? I mean, we don't know what my friend's going to say. She may start making fun of me, and then I'm wide open, and that could hurt, And so it's a little less, it's a little riskier emotionally. Whereas if we choose a closed system, we kind of have this defense. Right? I mean, we're not really open. So if she does make fun of me, it's probably not the greatest example, but it's just like, the energy's not gonna affect me as much. I'm not gonna feel it as much. And I'm just gonna say something to me, well, she's being uncool, and so she's a bigger jerk than I am, or whatever else. And it doesn't really it doesn't get into my heart as much. And then I can tell myself stuff and feel that. So it does feel a little more safe, but we don't get access to experiencing life in like a real genuine sense of how life really is. And our chakras, and the way we experience life, it doesn't get to experience its magic. I don't get clear perception. I don't get empathy and connection. I don't get knowing and intuition and call for action. And I don't really make a difference at the spiritual and emotional level as much. So that's the choice. And I would just, mostly I just wanted to kind of contrast the systems, and then you can take, from this as you will. So anyway, that is my video for this week. I hope you have an awesome week, and I'm hoping that you have some open interactions with life this week. I'll see you in a week.